Dave here, as you should know by now, for the next section of Dave Gets Wood with my dining table. On the last video I mentioned that I was going to be trying to sort out the copy of this, and I've got one. It was dead easy, no dramas. It was really easy to do. Is what I wish I could fucking say, but I can't. It was a fucking nightmare. Okay, first off, it was a nightmare because I didn't have any wood that was exactly this width. So, as you can see on here, these brown marks are burn marks from a table saw. So basically had to cut 5mm off the whole of this sheet, and the table saw was burning the wood. It took an absolute age. Now I managed to get that cut done, and then again using the table saw I was able to angle the blade, and I measured it and measured it and measured it, and basically measured from here to the first cut point, and then obviously from there to that cut point, and from there to that cut point. So basically measured all these 3 points. It was 30mm, 60mm, with a 15mm, no sorry, 30mm between the two, and a depth of 15mm, which, as long as the initial cut point is correct and the degree of 45 degrees is correct, then they'll meet. Well, good job I tested that, because on the table saw it doesn't automatically, basically there's a ruler on the leading edge that you can set a guide to. So if you want, so for example, if I was putting this on the table upside down like that, so I've got the blade at an angle. If I wanted the blade to cut straight, say 60mm in from the end, then you could set it at 60mm and cut it off. But if you then measured that piece of wood, it's going to be 57 or 58mm, because the table doesn't take into account the blade. Now I was aware of this, right? So that's why with the long cut I was okay. But when it came to doing the angular cut, not only is the 0 point on the measurement obviously a bit off by a couple of mil, but also because the blade was angled, its height was also important for me. And I measured it and measured it and tested it and tested it, and I got it all set up. And when I did the first cut, so like that, so when I did the first cut, was it that way? Yes, first cut that way, fine. Turn the piece of wood around, do that cut, fine. But then I had to move the guide from the left hand side of the blade to the right hand side of the blade, which I did, and measured and measured and tested and had it all set up, made the cut, and something had gone wrong somewhere, because the gap between this point and this point needs to be 30mm, and it was 35mm, which really pissed me off, because that's not a little error, that's, okay, it is a little error, but in terms of what I was doing, it's a fucking massive error. I mean, if I'm working on 60mm and 5mm was out, I'm trying to figure out what percentage. It's a lot of a percentage. Maths isn't my strong point. clearly. So unfortunately I spent one day doing that, and once I realised that error, I was like, right, fuck it, I'm done for today. I was knackered anyway, and I was running out of time because I had to come and do the video, the DGT video on Sunday, and it pissed me off. So I knew that I'd have to go back and do it again, but I wasn't keen on using the table saw on the angular cut, because even though I'd measured it and tested it, it still went wrong, and that really pissed me off. And I didn't want to have to go through that again, considering that I was going to have to make this really long cut. So that cut alone took fucking ages to do, to make sure that I didn't set fire to the fucking workshop. So, in the end, what I decided to do was, instead of using the table saw for the angular cut, because I think the blade perhaps needs sharpening or replacing, but I didn't trust my mathematics on it. So instead, I chose to use the cross-cut saw, which is a big circular saw that you pull down. But that can do straight cuts, or it can do angular cuts. You can tilt it. The only problem with that was that really there was no depth control. You couldn't set it so that it couldn't go below a certain point. So there was a risk with that, but I felt that I would be able to line up the blade to the specific cut point much better, and to be honest, I could, and I was very happy with how those cuts were going and went. The only thing is, I wouldn't say I bottled it, but I was concerned of going too deep. So what I've got left with here is, if you see, there's some in the middle, but if you actually look at the tip of the V, you'll see that one side is slightly longer than the other, and that's because they still need to meet, but they're on the right trajectory. So, for example, I just need to keep going down a little bit in there. Now, I did try chiselling it out of that one, and it took a bit of a chunk out of the fucking wood there. So I stopped on that one. Thought, I ain't gonna fuck it up anymore. I've got a Dremel at home, I can use that. Or if need be, I could saw it a little bit. So yeah, so that's where we're up to. But what I will say is, I mean, it was a fucking awkward piece of wood to cut. But I now do have a replica piece, which means that we can just about get started on the stripping of stuff once I've cleaned out the grooves. Thank God, we're not done. My hope was to also get the brackets sorted out, but because the first attempt at the replica went so badly fucking wrong, I didn't even get a chance to look at them. And then yesterday, when I finished that off, I basically had a choice, which was do these or tidy up a bit in the workshop. So I chose that because, well, I've made some mess in there, but so have other people. So, but I figured the time would be better spent helping my dad out and just tidying up bits of the workshop. So that's what I did instead. But I did it knowing that I still need to trim off a little bit of these. As I mentioned before, they are slightly too long. Now, what I was hoping to do, this was another reason for doing the cleaning instead, the tidying, was what I was going to do was use the crosscut saw on these, clamp these together, and but unfortunately I couldn't get these two pieces of wood onto the crosscut saw's bench and use the clamps to clamp down the pieces of wood. It meant holding it, and I wasn't going to do that. So, some of you may have seen one of these before, some of you may not. It's nothing scientifically special, they're not even that accurate, but it would be more accurate than me freehanding it. So basically what this is a block of wood with a few angle cuts in it. So you've got 45-degree cuts there and a straight cut. So what I'm intending on trying to do here is I will clamp these together, hopefully, then put them into here, and basically line it up with the saw so that the cut I'm going to make here is not going to be taking too much off or anything like that. So basically I'm going to set it so that I can't go too long on it. And then obviously I've got the slots there to guide me on those cuts, and hopefully should make it a lot easier. But I am going to need to clamp this to the table as well, probably. But I should technically be able to well, potentially clamp all three pieces of wood together as one to the table. So that's the situation with those. So that's something that I still need to sort out, and then we've got to drill the holes. So that's something that I need to try and get done in the very near future. But before that is dealing with my grooves. So that's what I'm going to do today. Now it's taken me 12 minutes to explain that, but I don't really care. I wanted you to know how much of a fucking ball ache that was. Now, I'd mentioned before that doing angular cuts and joints are definitely my weakest areas. But even when I was sort of talking to my dad about this, he was saying, well, it doesn't matter if you get the cut a bit wrong, you can pack it, you can fill it. And I was like, yeah, but I want to get it right. I don't want to have to pack it, and I don't want to have to fill it, I want to get it right. Which he understood. So it's one of those things, it's like, yeah, okay, if it was the only piece of wood I'd got and the options were it's done or I pack it, then I'd pack it. But I have the opportunity of getting it right. So I fucking hope. Excuse me. As I was saying, I hope I've got it right. Okay, I need to pick the correct tool here for this. I'm just wondering whether I might be better off rather than... Okay, that one might need a drop. I'm just wondering if I might be better off actually hand sawing. So I've got my little one as well, haven't I? Got my little hand, my little handy fucking saw. Never piss me off, because if you do, I know exactly where your body's getting chopped up. Obviously I'm joking, but don't piss me off. Right, okay, so let's have a look then at how we can get on here. I don't know how well this will work. I don't need to rush it. should strap it to your table. Ow. In some respects, the cleaning up of this bit is not, I was going to say not vital, it's still extremely important, but majority of this is at the right angle, so if I get this slightly wrong, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Let's follow. Turn it around, I can see it a little better. Hopefully, I haven't got much of a anymore. That's going to move too much. Should have strapped it to the table. Okay. Shit. Oh, my mask and my goggles. Okay, so let's see which. I could use a sander, but if I do, I think I'd be better off with that. So I'm going to cut in, but then. Which shall you use, my friends? I'm tempted. I think I'll go with the little sander and hope that I can get it all the way down there. Okay. So the intention here is to not fuck it up. Well, it's working. I just need to move the sanding bit. Move. I'm guessing it doesn't like being overlapped. Just streaming off. Also bigger. These fucking sounding things fucking doing my head in. So let's try this. I don't know if it'll do it how I want it to, but it shouldn't fucking move. Not perfect, but it's better. scientist. Would be a very good one. It's not too bad, but it just needs a bit more taking out the groove. So I'm going to go with a pointy one. Quite going to work out I wanted it to. Where's excuse me. I think that may have done it. To be honest, I'll be fairly chuffed with that. Okay. Right. Well, this piece of wood, oh, excuse me. Yeah, this piece of wood, you can't see my mouth moving. I'm still going to, when I come to use the stripper on the other pieces, I'm going to do it on this as well. So this hasn't got a finish on it. it's obviously aged, and I am going to have to give it a bit of a sanding on this side as well before we start trying to put a finish on it. So yeah, okay, so that's my groove sorted out. So that is basically that bit done, which means that we've got to get these done next. And I'm not going to do them right now because I need to have a little clean up in here, and I do not need to be rushing this. I'm not going to use a jigsaw on it because the jigsaw can move about a bit too much. I could try sanding it down, but I'm not going to. And I mean, I've been contemplating many different ways I could do this, and to be honest, I probably wouldn't do this if I didn't have the guide block. But I do, so that's the way I'm going to do it. And what I'll do is, I'm thinking that we'll do the cuts first, so that we've got it all the right sizes, and then we can look at drilling the holes. I was going to do the holes on the pillar drill, but because we were busy with other stuff and I hadn't got them cut, I didn't want to. Also, my dad was using his pillar drill. I didn't want to get involved in that one. Although I need to check the bolts, because these bigger holes, if they need a hole that big, I don't think I've got a drill bit that is that big. I mean, I've not got my ruler to hand. Let's see, it's going to be 12 mil, I reckon. I think the biggest drill bit I've got is 8, maybe 10. I'll have a look. Right, okay. Well, that is me done for this video. So, we're definitely making progress. And yeah, we really are not far away now from stripping some wood. We've just got a little bit more cutting and drilling, and yeah, we're there. I must admit, this was the bit I was most concerned about, and rightly so, because those cuts were a pain in the arse. I mean, for someone who knows what they're doing, those cuts would be a piece of piss, but I'm learning on that side of things. So yes, I really was concerned about doing that. Now obviously I'm concerned about doing these, mainly because these 3 pieces of wood are pretty much exactly the right diameter that I need, the right thickness, and I know I haven't got more of it. So I need to make sure I don't fuck those up. Right, done. Have a good one, take it easy, and I shall see you all again soon.